My name is Tommy, and I was 12 years old one Halloween. My brother Jake had just turned 16. That night, our parents had left for the costume party around 7. They'd be back by midnight, they promised.
Don't answer the door for anyone weird.
Mom had said.
And Tommy, don't eat too much candy or you'll be up all night.
I'd already eaten half my trick or treat haul before they even left. The evening passed the way Halloween evenings should. Jake and I carved our pumpkins. We traded candies. And we settled onto the couch to watch a horror movie. The wind had picked up outside, rattling the windows and sending leaves skittering across the driveway. Our neighborhood was unusually quiet for Halloween night. By 9, the doorbell had only rung maybe 3 or 4 times. Jake mentioned it seemed like fewer kids were out this year. By 10:30, we hadn't had a trick-or-treater in over an hour. Jake suggested we call it a night and head to bed. But then came the knock. Not a doorbell ring. 3 slow, deliberate raps against the wooden door.
It's almost 11. Way too late for trick-or-treaters.
Jake said before walking to the front door. I stayed on the couch. He pulled the door open and said hello into the darkness. The street was empty, illuminated only by the orange glow of streetlights and the jack-o'-lanterns. But there, placed carefully on our welcome mat, was a small canvas bag. He picked up the bag and came back inside. He emptied the bag on the table and found odd-looking wrapped candies. But beneath the candy was a small, folded piece of paper which read "For you." The handwriting was shaky, scratchy, like it had been written by someone with trembling hands.
That's weird,
he muttered, studying the note. I walked over to examine the candy. Think it's safe to eat?
Probably not. I wouldn't eat that.
We laughed, left the candies on the table, and went back to finish the movie. But neither of us could really focus after that. Something about the knock late at night and the strange note had shifted the atmosphere in the house. After finishing the movie, we went to bed. I don't know what time it was when I woke up. My digital clock read 2:47 a.m. Everything was silent. My throat was dry, scratchy from all the candy. I needed water. I crept to the kitchen in the darkness. The streetlight outside cast enough orange glow through the windows. I filled a glass with water from the sink. As I drank, my eyes fell on the canvas bag, and the candies were still sitting on the table where we left it. I don't know why I did what I did next. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was that reckless impulse kids have. I picked up the candy. It was normal looking, and I popped it into my mouth. At first, it tasted like regular butterscotch, sweet, buttery, but then came the aftertaste, metallic. I was about to spit it out, and all of a sudden I heard knocking. Knock, knock, knock. My blood turned to ice. The knocking was coming from inside the house. I stood frozen in the kitchen, the half-dissolved candy still in my mouth, my heart hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. The knocking came again, from every direction, growing louder with each repetition. I screamed. Jake rushed into the kitchen, his eyes wide with panic.
Tommy, what's wrong?
The knocking. I heard someone knocking. He stopped and listened for a moment, then his face went pale. Knock, knock, knock. He tried calling Mom and Dad, but there was no cell service. Then we heard footsteps.
There's someone in the house.
But that was impossible. All the doors and windows were locked. We hadn't heard anyone break in. The footsteps came closer. A figure appeared in the hallway, tall. Where its head should be was a pumpkin. A carved jack-o'-lantern with jagged teeth and triangular eyes that flickered with candlelight from within. The figure stood motionless. We ran for our lives and hid inside a closet. The footsteps continued through the house. Slow, and deliberate. Each step seemed to reverberate through my chest. We tried calling 911 again, but there was no signal. How and why there was no signal, we never knew. The footsteps stopped right outside the closet door. We held our breath, our hearts racing. Through the gap at the bottom of the door, I saw a shadow. Silence stretched out for what felt like hours. Then, a voice. Soft, raspy, barely above a whisper.
Trick or treat. Trick or treat.
The doorknob began to turn. I squeezed my eyes shut, waiting for the door to open, waiting for whatever was on the other side. Suddenly, the footsteps retreated. They moved away, back through the kitchen. We heard the front door open and then close again with a soft click. We stayed in that closet for a good few hours. Too terrified to move. Too terrified to believe it was really gone. Jake finally dared to open the closet door. The house looked like a tornado had hit it. Furniture was overturned. Pictures had been knocked from walls. A pumpkin had been smashed to pulp in the middle of the living room floor. But worst of all was what we found on the kitchen table. The canvas bag was still there, but now it contained only two things, 2 pieces of paper, each with the same shaky handwriting. One said,
Thank you for the candy.
The other said,
See you next Halloween.
Mom and Dad came home at 7 a.m., horrified by the state of the house and our tear-streaked faces. They called the police. Officers searched the house top to bottom and found no sign of forced entry, no fingerprints, nothing stolen. They suggested it was a Halloween prank gone too far. Teenagers, probably. But we knew better. We never told anyone about the whisper, about the pumpkin-headed figure, about the knocking that came from inside the house. We don't celebrate Halloween anymore, and we definitely don't answer the door after dark. Because every Halloween, we each receive a package, hand-delivered, no return address. Inside is a single piece of old-fashioned candy and a note that says the same thing every year.
Soon.
Happy Halloween, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you like our work, don't forget to hit that like button. Until next time.